With that, let's quickly march ahead because it's time to gauge a little more. Again, we are talking about anticipating the unanticipated, future-proofing the ecosystem, challenges and opportunities. And this keynote and the fireside chat will feature none other than Shri Vivek Deep, Executive Director, Reserve Bank of India. And to spearhead the session, we have with us none other than Mr. Harshil Mathur, CEO and co-founder, Razorpay. So if I could please invite both of our speakers on stage, Mr. Harshil Mathur and Shri Vivek Deep. I know that back in the morning, many of us managed to witness the prolific leader, our Honorable Prime Minister, address the gathering. So can we take that energy forward and have an energetic round of applause? Please help me welcome on stage, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Harshil Mathur and Shri Vivek Deep. Thank you so much for joining us. And with that, Harshil, over to you.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. And it'll be hard to match the energy of the last speaker on the stage, so we'll try to do our best. We have with us Mr. Vivek Deep, sir, who is the Executive Director at Reserve Bank of India. He oversees the Department of Payment Systems and the Department of IT, among other things. And he has been with Reserve Bank since 1990, sir, if I'm not mistaken, and has quite a broad overview of everything under regulation, under payments, under Fintech. So with that said, sir, let me start with the first thing, which is, of course, the ecosystem is doing really well. We all talk about the Fintech ecosystem, a lot of good things happening, a lot of bad things happening as well on the other side. How do you feel about the Fintech ecosystem? What do you think the ecosystem has done well today? What do you think the ecosystem could do better from a regulatory perspective?
What the ecosystem has done well on that, we heard none other than our Prime Minister himself, having praised the way in which our digital space has progressed by leaps and bounds, especially the fintech sector. Just to recount some of them, you have really helped democratize the finance in this country. The digital public infrastructure that has been put in place to take it to the masses, to take it to the public at large, that has been achieved by the fintechs. Apart from that, the acceptance infrastructure that has been there with the merchants, on that fintechs have performed a seminal role. I would also say that a lot of transactions which were happening in the informal sector, fintechs have helped in formalizing that data flow, and therefore have been able to bring those people into the formal sector by making use of that data and making those people credit-worthy and things like that. So these are some of the things which immediately come to the mind. And I'm sure there are many others, countless other things. India is where it is today because of the fintech sector. And it is being praised, as again Prime Minister said, and we know internationally because of our prowess in the area of IT and digital progress, including the fintech part. Now, moving on to what we could have done better. No matter how well we do, there are always things where improvement is possible. And one of the things that I keep on saying wherever I get the opportunity is that the fintech sector has evolved primarily from a tech-oriented mindset. What is fintech? Fintech is is a combination of finance and technology. But most of the time, this evolution has come from technology into finance. So, initially the tech sector, it was a tech sector, and tech has been traditionally a lightly regulated sector, if at all regulated. And then you come into finance, which has traditionally been a very, very tightly regulated sector all across the world. It's not just the case in India, but across the world. And when you mix the two, you become a fintech sector. But to expect that the same old light touch regulation will continue is probably the misplaced sort of expectation of some of the entities in the sector, where you can do better in terms of aligning your expectation, because you have to come to terms with the new reality that with finance as your area of operation, you will be more tightly regulated because you are playing with other people's money, and therefore you have to abide by a lot more compliances, a lot more rules, and a lot more expectations. So that is one. The other thing is the way our payment system has evolved, and fintechs have played a large part in that. So on the face of it, you see a very, very seamless way in which payments gets done. But behind that, there are many hops in which that payment takes place. A number of players are there. And a customer doesn't realize that as long as the payment gets through, smoothly. But the moment the payment fails for some reason, a customer has to run from pillar to post to get a redressal. The customer doesn't know with which particular player, at which particular point, the payment has been, it has not gone through, who in the chain is holding the money. And to that extent, the redressal of the grievance has not been very satisfactory. So that is something else where we can do better. The third thing is about frauds and things like that. We can go on telling people that in terms of the volume of transactions, the percentage of frauds are very, very small and things like that. But for the person who suffers that particular fraud, for him it is his life. Families get destroyed, person's life get destroyed because a fraud happens. And on that, I think fintechs can play a better role in terms of dissemination of literacy, education, and in terms of prevention. So these are some of the things I would try and sum up. Yeah.
I think that's an interesting point, especially on the last 2 points. I'd like to double down on it because there are a lot of fintech startups today coming here, and I think on that particularly, I think what would be interesting for fintech startups to understand is, as a regulator, of course, you see a lot of innovation happening, a lot of growth, and most startups are focused towards innovation and growth. But as a regulator, what are some of the non-negotiables that you feel that innovative fintech startups should keep in mind when they're trying to balance innovation and growth with regulation? Like, what are some of the things that they cannot compromise on at all when they're building?
There is somehow, I think, in some minds, this impression has gained ground that regulation and innovation cannot coexist. I would like to say that this necessarily need not be the case. In fact, we in Reserve Bank of India, uh, our goal is to have regulations in such a manner that it leads to orderly innovation, as Governor also mentioned more than once. When you say non-negotiable, I would say that any law, any regulation which is in place at a particular given time is non-negotiable, because a regulation is in place, a law is in place, it is there for a particular reason, for a purpose. And as long as it is there, the market players are expected to follow that particular rule or regulation. So on that, no questions, it is non-negotiable. But yes, you are free to innovate, and if you feel that the framework that is in place is hampering some of the innovation that you are planning, or some of the new ideas need a different set of regulation, then you are expected to engage with the regulators, with the policy makers, as we are doing it through this conference, through other conferences, through bilateral meetings, to which again Governor referred. I feel that that in the fintech sector, the Reserve Bank is a very, very open and positive-minded regulator. The officers, the executives of Reserve Bank, and even the management of Reserve Bank frequently meets the representative of the fintech sectors. They provide opportunity to meet you whenever there is a request for the same. And it is through that mutual dialogue and this process that new regulations come in place and evolve. My suggestion would be that allow that regulatory space, regulatory framework to evolve. No regulation is cast in stone. That is what you must keep in mind. So if there is a need for a change, regulation will also change. The only thing is that you have to be patient enough to see that change and innovate accordingly. Thank you.
Yeah. No, that is very helpful, and I completely agree with it. I think the presence of RBI, at least in this event, is clearly visible, and that shows how open the regulator has been to dialogues. I think one point connected closely with regulation is one point of constant discussion is KYC, right? And while RBI, of course, has a standard structure and master direction on KYC, there's KYC in every sector today, and every regulator has their own version of what KYC means. And I think there's been a lot of discussion around some common standard across regulators of KYC, because today, if you take a RBI regulated service, then you have to do some sort of KYC. If you take a SEBI regulated service, you have to take a different kind of KYC. There could be something else in the insurance segment, and so on. So is there a thought behind it? Can we see at some point of time a common standard of KYC for the entire industry?
That I will agree is a pain point for the industry, for the customers. What I would say is that there is a coordination mechanism that exists as far as the financial sector regulators are concerned, and the issues of mutual interest get regularly discussed in these meetings. Now, the different regulators regulate different entities. So the entities are different for them, but sometimes they do overlap, in the sense that one entity is doing some services which fall under one regulator, it is also doing some other services which fall under another regulator. And in that sense, some customers are required to follow one particular set of guidelines, and the other customer of the same entity are required to follow other set of guidelines. So there are two things. One is that Aadhaar has emerged as a common set which enables KYC. There is, I was talking to the people of NPCI. They have been given a mandate by the ministry also to work on some sort of a bridge which can, using Aadhaar, which can provide KYC for all the financial regulator, and some work is going on. And the other thing is that there is discussion going on between the regulators as to how to harmonize the requirements to the extent possible. But that, I think, is still some distance away, and we will have to wait for some time till more clarity and more harmonization in this area emerges.
We'll all look forward to it. I think related point to that, and on the theme of our event today around AI, of course, over the last few years, we've seen KYC becoming simpler through the advent of digital KYC and video KYC in particular. But now with AI, some of those models could again be at risk in next couple of years. Would that mean a rethinking and a change in the way KYC is looked at again, all over again?
Why only KYC? You look at all the regulations and guidelines, they have been dynamic. They change as per the evolving and changing situation. AI has, certainly caught everybody's attention, and this particular field also is no exception. When the video KYC came in, it was expected that it will solve a lot of pain points for the customer in terms of the fact that the customer will not have to physically go to the place of KYC and have physical presence will not be required and things like that. But now with AI and the deep fakes and things like that, that may or may not work in the form that we know it today. So, but how? So I'm pretty sure, I'm 101% sure that as these challenges will emerge or are emerging, the approach as to how to deal with them will also certainly, most certainly will change. How it will change, that remains to be seen. And that, because if the people who want to compromise the existing systems are doing their research and using technology, I'm sure the people who want to defend against that are also doing their research and using technology. So, so it's a cat and mouse game, and some defense will come. I'm sure of it. In what form it will come, I probably cannot tell you right now because I'm not sure how it will come.
Yeah, of course. Hopefully, AI itself becomes a solution as well on the other side. I think on a different direction, of course, there are a lot of PSOs and payment system operators in the country. One constant topic of discussion is their viability from economics perspective. Their current concerns around the viability of these models with shrinking margins. Of course, there's incentive from the government as well as from RBI. But do you see a path where this ecosystem becomes self-sustainable?
Again, this is a topic which is often discussed whenever we meet with payment system operators and other PSPs. I think there are two main aspects to this viability issue. One would be around the businesses that are centered around UPI. On that, I think government is a major stakeholder, and you would do well to engage with them and at the right forum and try to find out what would be the way forward. The other part is about the low margins in general for the PSOs and PSPs, and in terms of changing scenarios, dynamic scenarios, and whether there is long-term sustainability of the models that they are, the business models that they have. On that, I would say, I will refer to what the Deputy Governor was saying yesterday, Mr. Ravi Shankar, that the fintech industry, the payment system industry as a whole is not really very old. It's quite nascent. But so much has happened in this industry in such a short space of time that it looks like ages have passed. But it's still a nascent and an evolving space. And in a dynamic field like this, it's probably not prudent to expect that that you already have a stable business model that will see you through over a medium or a long term, and you will be assured of profitability. It's a dynamic world, dynamic model, and the external situation will keep on changing, and you will have to keep on adjusting to that as it changes, as the external world changes, to make sure that that your business model is in tune with that, and it gives you good return. Having said that, I would still say that for those companies which want to build lasting institutions, governance and customer centricity, if you build it into your business models, it will hold you in good stead in the long run, and it will also show you a path to sustainability and viability. Without that, you might get short-term returns, but I will say that the long-term future of the company will be always in doubt.
Yeah, so that's interesting, and I think on that topic, I think one of the important topic to discuss is opportunities, which is the important aspect of the talk today. So one of the opportunities that is being talked about increasingly is how UPI is going global. And I know the government and the Reserve Bank is taking a lot of efforts in working with different stakeholders in different countries to take UPI or payment systems and other things global. Is that an opportunity for fintechs as well? And like, what are the key learnings from the Indian ecosystem that fintechs can take to other markets? What opportunities do you feel are opportunities for fintechs to go into other markets in your interactions with other regulators, and what do you see there?
India is a tough, very, very diversified market. A lot of challenges here. So if you succeed here, half the battle is already won, in the sense that if you go overseas, many of the challenges will be easier to overcome in those jurisdictions. But having said that, while the technology will be there, and it can solve a lot of gaps and can provide a lot of solutions, what we have seen internationally is that often the technology is less of a challenge, and it is the regulatory, the legal, the institutional, and the social mindsets, structures, institutions which are there, which are existing, which are more of a challenge. So unless you have learned to tackle those obstacles, those challenges, technology per se will not, give you the advantage that you think it will. So the key is to adapt to each overseas jurisdiction, each overseas market, according to the unique need of that market, and then lay out or sort of introduce your product, and then probably you will be successful. Having said that, we keep on saying that cross-border payments are an area which are crying for an efficient solution, and fintechs are more than welcome. There is an opportunity for them to enter into that space in a big way. Some of them have tried to enter, but a major difference, if they can bring about the way they have revolutionized the payment system within the country, if that kind of an impact they can make in cross-border payment, which is right now, very, very inefficient, I would say, in terms of the speed and the costs that are there for the customers. That would be, a win for the fintech industry.
Yeah, it's interesting. Also, the PM in today's speech gave a good tagline for it, like build local, go global. So that can be the tagline for doing this. I think we are running out of time. I don't know if you have time for questions. We can do one. Okay, we'll do a couple of questions from the audience. If anyone has a question, feel free to raise your hand. Sir is here to answer. Do we see any hands? Okay, any questions? Great, so if there is no, then I'll ask one last question. As the ecosystem is scaling up, a lot of things are happening. We talked a lot about regulations. I'd want to end with a note for the builders and the investors and everyone else in the audience. Like if you were to say why it is the best time to build for fintech in India today, from a regulator perspective, why do you feel it, like for the audience here, this is the best time to build in India in the space of fintech?
Well, I mean, India offers some unique opportunities which are not easily available in the, in other jurisdictions or in the rest of the world, to my mind at least. Two, three, immediately come to my mind. One is the scale of the market, the population by itself. The digital penetration, in spite of so much of spread of digital payments and everything else, a large number of people haven't still experienced the digital ecosystem or the ease of doing payments through digital means. So there is a vast untapped market for you to use. So, that is an obvious opportunity for you. The second is a large tech talent that is available here, obviously. The DPI, the India stack, is another obvious which is available, and interoperable, low-cost infrastructure that is available to you. And I would also say that a very, very open, approachable, and mature regulatory system is the hallmark of the Indian scenario. So taken together, these are some of the factors, plus the kind of growth that we have in this country, one of the the largest and the fastest growing economy that we have. So I mean, this should be a golden opportunity for any of you builders to invest here in India, is what I would say.
Well, that's a great elevator pitch. So anyone who's thinking of building in India, I think you have all the reasons. I would like to thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for being giving that open conversation. And I know there's a lot of learning for the audience. There's a lot of learning for me. Thanks a lot, sir, for taking your time on this.
Thank you. Thank you very much.